While I was on a weekend trip, my dad jokingly sold my MacBook to teach me responsibility. My mom said, "You left it here, sweetheart. That means you didn't really need it." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Then my sister pulled into the driveway on a brand new $2,300 electric bike and said, "Thanks again, Dad." I packed, left a sticky note on the fridge. From now on, the mortgage is no longer my responsibility. My name is Noah. I'm 26. Oldest kid, default problem solver, the one who shows up with jumper cables and a roll of duct tape. In my family, I'm the background character who keeps the set from collapsing. My younger sister, Lena, is the star. She's light and noise and applause. I'm the guy holding the curtain. It wasn't always dramatic. It was small, constant things. If we both brought home A's, she got a new jacket and I got, "Nice, but don't get cocky." If something broke, I fixed it. If money was tight, I picked up an extra shift. When I turned 18, Dad shook my hand and said, "Proud of you, man," then handed Lena the keys to a gently used car for safety. She cried happy tears. I took the bus and told myself it built character. I work in IT now. Quiet job, steady hours. I co-signed a mortgage last year because Dad said, "Family helps family," and Mom added, "It'll look good on your credit, sweetheart." I believe them. I wanted to believe them. It's easier than admitting you're the utility line everyone plugs into. Lena's the golden one. She floats. New hobbies every season, new gear match. My parents call it investing in her potential. When I ask what that means, Dad laughs and says, "You wouldn't get it, Noah. You're practical." Practical is their word for invisible. I just gotten back from a cheap weekend trip with friends. 2 nights by a lake in a rented cabin that smelled like pine cleaner and damp towels. No service. No laptop. That was the whole point. Unplug. On the drive home, my phone buzzed 12 times from group chats, nothing from family. Normal. I swung by my parents' place Sunday evening to pick up my MacBook and charger before work. The TV was on too loud. The house smelled like baked chicken and fake lemon. Dad was in the garage, doing that slow lean over the workbench like cars confess secrets to him. Mom was at the sink, rings off, hands in soapy water, humming a song from the radio like everything in the world was fine. "Hey," I said, stepping into the kitchen. "I need my laptop." It was on my desk. Mom didn't look up. "Hi, honey. In your room?" she added, like a question she already knew the answer to. "Yeah." I went down the hall. The desk was clean in a way it never is. No cords, no sticky notes, no dent where the charger lays. Just a polished rectangle of wood. My stomach did that weird elevator drop. I came back. "Where's my MacBook?" Dad wandered in, wiping his hands on a rag that didn't need wiping. "Funny you should ask," he said, the smile that means he's about to say something light. I sold it. I thought he was joking. I actually laughed. "What?" He leaned on the counter. "To teach you responsibility. You leave things here, you don't really need them. Right?" My laugh died fast. "You sold my laptop." Mom finally turned, lips pinched like she was bracing for a toddler tantrum. "You left it here, sweetheart. That means you didn't really need it." She tilted her head. "You have a work computer." "That's not how this works," I said, slower than I felt. "That's my property." Dad held up both hands. "Relax. It's not that deep. You can use the family desktop if you need to print something." "The family desktop from 2011? I said. My voice sounded calm. Too calm. "There's personal stuff on that Mac. Work files." "Then you should have been more careful," Mom said. "Actions have consequences." I heard the crunch of tires on gravel. A horn chirped twice. Lena's tiny electric bell rang. An excited, upbeat ding-ding. She rolled into the driveway on a brand-new e-bike, glossy white frame. Fat tires, big battery strapped like a jewel on the down tube. She took off her helmet with a hair flip and called through the open door. "Thanks again, Dad." Dad grinned, chest out like he'd won something. "Looking good, kiddo." "How much was that?" I asked without meaning to. Lena beamed. 2,300. "But it's an investment, you know, for my commute." Sustainability. Her eyes flicked to me. "You should try being spontaneous sometimes." Mom laughed like it was charming. Dad clapped her shoulder. "Anything for my girl." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I put my hands flat on the counter and felt the sticky ring of a glass someone hadn't wiped up. My name was on a mortgage here. My laptop was not. Lena spun the front wheel and watched it blur. Dad tossed me the rag. Don't make it a thing, Noah. Be useful and set the table. I grew up in a house where money was a scoreboard, and I was always the one expected to keep it balanced. When Lena wanted soccer camp, done. New cleats? Dad worked overtime, Mom shuffled bills. When I asked about joining a robotics program in high school, the answer was, that's too expensive, Noah. Be grateful you already have a computer. That computer was secondhand, missing half the keys. It didn't stop there. Every milestone was tilted. At 16, I worked weekends bagging groceries to save for a used car. The day I came home proud with $2,000 saved, Dad asked me to loan him half for a temporary fix. Said he'd pay me back in a month. I never saw a dollar again. 2 months later, Lena turned 16, and there was a shiny hand-me-down car waiting in the driveway. A Honda Civic with balloons tied to the side mirror. Dad clapped her on the shoulder and said, safe and reliable. Nothing's too much for my girl. I took the bus. That set the tone. My role wasn't son, it was resource. When Mom wanted the kitchen repainted, she called me to cover the supplies. You're the handy one, sweetheart. Lena's got schoolwork. When Dad had a credit card bill breathing down his neck, he asked me to spot him while Lena bought new outfits for homecoming. When the roof needed patching, I was the one on a ladder at midnight in the rain. It got worse when I finished college. I landed a steady job in IT. Quiet work, nothing glamorous, but enough to cover rent and start saving. That's when Dad pulled me aside with his salesman grin. Family mortgage is crushing us. Rates are killing me. Co-sign with us, Noah. It'll boost your credit. Win-win. I hesitated. Mom chimed in with that tone. She saves for guilt. Sweetheart, it's just paperwork. You're helping us keep this house. One day, it'll be yours and Lena's. I signed. A year later, every time a payment hit, my name was on the line. Every month, I asked Dad if things were under control, and every month he waved me off. Relax. It's handled. Meanwhile, Lena floated. She switched majors twice, then dropped out of community college entirely. Mom's line? She's finding herself. Dad's favorite? She's got potential, Noah. Don't smother her with pressure. Potential came with a $1,200 camera for her photography phase, a $600 keyboard for her music phase, a $900 sewing machine for her fashion phase. I paid part of the credit bill on at least 2 of those purchases when Dad couldn't make it that month. Every time I pushed back, the script was ready. Dad, don't be selfish. Mom, you don't understand. She's the baby. Lena, you're just jealous. I started to realize it wasn't about money alone. It was about roles. I was supply. She was demand. The smaller humiliations stung worse than the big asks. Like the time I brought over groceries to stock the fridge and Dad announced at dinner, good man, Noah, knows how to contribute. Then he handed Lena the last piece of pie and told me I'd had enough. Or when I upgraded my phone after saving up, and Mom called it showing off, then turned around and gifted Lena a brand new iPad 2 weeks later. The message was always the same. I could never win. If I had something, it meant I was selfish. If Lena had something, it meant she deserved it. The breaking point started to creep closer when Dad began hinting that I should cover a little more of the mortgage. Since you're single, Noah, you don't have responsibilities like we do. Then Mom added softly, Lena's thinking of moving out someday. Maybe you can help her get on her feet with rent. That's what family does. Translation, more money out of my pocket, more free rides for her. Every conversation had the same undertone. They saw my paycheck before they saw me. And when they looked at Lena, they saw possibility, future, sparkle. When they looked at me, they saw a wallet with legs. I told myself for years it was fine, that this was what responsibility meant, that I was building credit, that I was being the adult. But each little demand chipped away at the idea that any of it was fair. And then came the Macbook, the one thing I bought for myself, the tool I relied on for work, for projects, for keeping my own life organized. Gone. Turned into Lena's brand new toy on wheels. That's when I knew the stakes had changed. They weren't just borrowing pieces of me anymore. They were taking things out of my hands and handing them straight to her, calling a lesson. And the next lesson was already on the horizon. The day it all cracked open wasn't holiday. It wasn't some big party. It was just another Sunday dinner. The kind I've been dragged to my whole life. Mom texted me earlier. Be here at 6 sharp, sweetheart. Don't forget dessert. Translation: bring something, don't expect thanks. I showed up with a pie from the bakery near my apartment. $15, nothing fancy, but I knew Mom wouldn't bake. When I walked in, the kitchen smelled like overcooked roast and bleach. Dad was in his recliner, watching the game. Lena was on the couch, legs tucked under her, scrolling her phone with her shiny new bike helmet sitting proudly on the coffee table. Hey, I said, setting the pie down. About time, Dad muttered, eyes glued to the TV. Mom peeked around the corner. Oh, good, dessert. You remembered. I didn't answer. We sat down to eat. Standard drill. Dad served himself first, then Lena, then Mom. By the time the platter came to me, there was a wing and some mushy potatoes left. I didn't care. I'd learned years ago not to expect a full plate. Halfway through dinner, Dad cleared his throat like he was making a big announcement. So, Lena's thinking of moving into an apartment near downtown. Mom clapped softly like it was groundbreaking news. Isn't that exciting? Lena shrugged, but I could see the smile pulling at her lips. Yeah, there's this place I like. Rent's kind of high, though, but I'll figure it out. Dad looked straight at me. Your sister's young. She shouldn't have to drown in bills. You could help her cover rent, just until she's settled. My fork froze midair. Excuse me? Mom chimed in, calm but sharp. Sweetheart, you're stable. You live alone. You don't have the same expenses. It's only fair. Fair, I said slowly. You sold my laptop last week. Dad waved a hand. You're still on that? It was just a computer. She's starting her life. I set my fork down. It wasn't just a computer. And I'm not paying her rent. The room went dead quiet. Lena looked up from her phone. Wow. Okay. Don't be such a jerk. It's literally nothing to you. It's not nothing, I said. My voice was steady, but inside I felt my chest tighten. I'm not your ATM. I'm not covering rent, tuition, hobbies, bikes, or anything else. Dad's chair squeaked as he leaned forward, voice low but dangerous. Watch your tone. You don't talk to your mother that way. Or your sister. I'm not, I said. I'm telling you I'm done. Mom shook her head like I'd disappointed her beyond belief. You've always been so cold, Noah. Family helps family. What are we supposed to tell people if you won't even step up for your own sister? Tell them the truth, I said. That you used my name for your mortgage. That you sold my property behind my back. That every time Lena wants something, you take it out of me. Lena slammed her phone down. You're being dramatic. Dad helps you too. Who paid for your braces? I laughed, short, bitter. You mean the braces I paid off myself with grocery shifts at 16 because Dad forgot the last 3 payments? Her face flushed. You're just jealous. Something in me broke. Not loud. Not messy. Just a quiet snap. I looked at Dad, then Mom, then Lena. My voice came out level, like I was explaining instructions to a stranger. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I'm not paying another dime. Not on a house. Not on Lena. Not on anything. Dad's fist hit the table. The dishes rattled. I stood, calm. My hands didn't even shake. I'm done. Mom's voice rose, shrill now. If you walk out that door, Noah, don't bother coming back. Don't expect family when you're old and alone. I met her eyes. I'd rather be alone than drain dry. I picked up my keys, walked to the door. Behind me, Dad shouted something I didn't catch. Lena muttered, pathetic. Mom started crying the way she always does when she wants someone to fold. But I didn't fold. For the first time in my life, I didn't stay seated, didn't swallow it down. I walked out into the night, the sound of their voices muffled behind the door. And for the first time, it was quiet. The fallout started almost immediately. By the time I got back to my apartment that night, I had 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad, and 1 text from Lena that just said, wow, you seriously ruined dinner. Congrats. I didn't answer. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. 15 calls before lunch. A voicemail from Mom, where she was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Noah, sweetheart, I don't know what's gotten into you. We're family. You don't turn your back on us. Please don't do this. Then one from Dad, angry this time. You think you can just walk away? After everything we've done for you? You're ungrateful. Selfish. Don't forget whose roof you grew up under. And Lena, of course, with her signature bite. Whatever. You've always been bitter. I'll figure out rent without your drama. Enjoy your sad little life. I left them all unread. By day 3, the tone shifted. Mom sent a string of short texts. Mortgage is due Friday. Your father's stressed. Please don't let us down. Then, if you don't cover your part, we can lose the house. Do you want that on your conscience? I sat there staring at the message, thinking how absurd it was. My part had become their excuse for every gap, every shortfall. I was never just helping, I was carrying. I didn't reply. When the payment date passed, Dad called me 10 times in an hour. Then another voicemail. Fine. You want to play tough guy? We'll see how tough you are when the bank calls. You're on this loan, Noah. They'll come for you too. I blocked his number. Silence lasted 2 days. Then Lena posted a photo on Instagram. Her smiling with the bike, captioned, "Learning to do life without people who hold you back." Comment section full of heart emojis, and "You got this girl" from her friends. It should have hurt. It didn't. It felt like proof I'd made the right call. Meanwhile, my phone kept buzzing with numbers I didn't recognize. Bill collectors? Relatives? I ignored them all. At work, I forced myself to focus. When coworkers asked if I was okay, I just said I was tired. But at night, sitting in my apartment, it hit me how quiet things had gotten. No mom texting daily reminders. No dad asking for a quick favor. No Lena popping in to gloat about her newest toy. Just quiet. And the quiet felt good. 2 weeks later, I stopped by their house one last time. Not to talk, just to get my name off the mortgage. The sticky note I'd left on the fridge after the laptop incident had been ignored. I knew that much. So I came with papers this time. I'd spoken to the bank, figured out how to remove myself legally. It wasn't simple, but it was possible. Dad answered the door, ice cold. "What do you want?" "To get out," I said, holding up the paperwork. He scoffed. "Coward." Mom appeared behind him, face blotchy from crying. "Please, Noah, don't do this to us. Think of your sister." I shook my head. "I am. That's why I'm done." Dad muttered something under his breath, useless, weak, I think, but he signed when the reality set in. Mom refused at first, then caved after 10 minutes of silence. Lena wasn't even home. When it was done, I set the pen down and said the only thing I could. "You'll figure it out." Without me. That night, my phone stayed quiet. No missed calls. No texts. The silence stretched into days. Then weeks. For once in my life, I wasn't waiting for their approval or bracing for their demands. I woke up early, made breakfast without rushing, went for walks, read books I've been putting off. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and that felt like freedom. It's been months since I walked out of that house and untangled my name from their mortgage. Months since the constant buzzing of calls and guilt-ridden texts. The silence stuck. At first, it felt strange. I checked my phone out of habit, expecting to see Mom's long guilt messages or Lena's smug updates. Nothing. The only notifications now are from work, a few friends, and bills with my own name on them, bills I actually chose. I thought maybe I'd miss them. I don't. What I feel is lighter. Like someone cut a weight off my chest I didn't even know I was carrying. I come home to my own apartment, and no one's there waiting with a new favor. No one's hinting that my paycheck belongs to them. No one's telling me I'm selfish for wanting my own things. I've built new routines. Sunday nights. I cook for myself instead of dragging a pie into a kitchen where I'm invisible. I go for long walks after work. I started saving again, not for someone else's bills, but for me. It's amazing how quickly money grows when you're not plugging every hole your family creates. My bank account is the quiet proof that I made the right choice. And for once, I don't feel like I have to justify every dollar I spend. Every once in a while, I scroll past Lena's posts. The bike, the outfits, the endless captions about independence. It's laughable, but also sad. She still plays the golden child role, except now there's no one left in the background to prop her up. I don't comment. I don't care. If she calls me bitter, fine. If Mom paints me as selfish, fine. If Dad calls me ungrateful, fine. None of it matters anymore. Because the moment I stopped giving, their power over me evaporated. Because here's the truth. I'm not the family's wallet anymore. I'm not the invisible background. I'm not the safety net they stretch until it snaps. I'm just me. And for the first time, that's enough. I don't know what their house looks like now. I don't know if the mortgage is still hanging by a thread, or if Dad found a way to shuffle numbers again. I don't know if Lena's paying her rent or if Mom's covering it behind closed doors. Maybe they'll manage, maybe they won't. But that's the point. I'm not the answer anymore. What I do know is this. It's no longer my problem. I left them a note on the fridge that night. From now on, figure out how to pay the mortgage without my name on it. That wasn't a threat. That wasn't revenge. It was a promise to myself. This isn't about punishing them. This is about closing the book. I'll always remember how they treated me. I won't pretend it didn't happen. But I also won't carry it anymore. I refuse to let every paycheck, every small success, get swallowed up by their expectations. I'm done being useful only when they're desperate. I'm done being told family helps family when it only ever meant me helping them. From here on out, I decide where my time, money, and energy go, and they don't get a vote. I may not have the picture-perfect family. I may not get birthday calls or holiday dinners. I may not be in the holiday photos they send to relatives. But I have peace, and that's worth more than any bike, any laptop, any guilt they try to hang around my neck. What surprised me most is how quickly the world filled in once I created that boundary. Without the constant drain, I had time to focus on myself in ways I hadn't before. I picked up running again, something I dropped years ago because every spare hour went into helping out. I joined a local book club, met new people who only knew me as Noah, not the dependable older son. When I mentioned an interest or hobby, nobody rolled their eyes or told me it was a waste of money. At work, I noticed changes too. I wasn't dragging into the office drained from late-night calls about my parents' bills. I had energy. I volunteered for projects. My manager actually said, "You seem lighter lately." He was right. For the first time, I wasn't living under someone else's shadow. I also started saying yes to things I'd always brushed off. A coworker invited me to a weekend trip. I went. A neighbor asked if I wanted to join a pickup basketball game. I said sure. These sound like small things, but they're the things I never had the freedom to do before. I was always bracing for the next demand, the next favor disguised as obligation. Even my apartment feels different now. It's not just a place to sleep between family emergencies. It's mine. I put up shelves, bought a desk. I actually decorated the walls with prints that make me happy. Every corner reminds me of something I chose, not something I was guilted into. And the best part? I don't feel guilty about enjoying it. That's what closure really is, not slamming a door in anger, but finally giving yourself permission to live without carrying everyone else's weight. I'll say it once, and I'll mean it until the end. I will never let them use me like that again. And if that means I stand alone, then so be it, because standing alone is still better than being used.